everybody, and welcome to another episode of Landscape Marketing Secrets. Today, we are going to be talking about the secret to positive reinforcement. And some of you might be wondering, what does that mean? And that means basically telling people things in a nice way and in a way to help them and make them feel better as opposed to yelling. And I'll give you an example of this, or where I kind of, first learned about positive reinforcement. And so we have a son who's now 13. And when he was about a year and a half old or less, he was diagnosed with autism. I thought it was a really stressful time. He's now doing great. He has very, very, very mild autism. But when he was a baby, he was a screamer and a crier. And it was hard. It was not easy. I won't lie. But one thing we learned, we had a ton of specialists working with him, and behavior specialists and physical therapists and occupational therapists and speech therapists. But anyway, with the behavior therapist, we learned to reward positive behavior and ignore negative behavior. And that's really hard. And that is something that not a lot of parents do and not a lot of people do. And what that means is when your kid is screaming, you don't even acknowledge it. You ignore the kid screaming. And when the kid does something well, or, you don't ignore it if you're in a public place. You're like, I don't even hear you. But when a kid does something well, that's when you reward the behavior. And that's when you give them attention, which is really what kids are looking for. So it's a way to get kids and people to focus on doing things in a positive light as opposed to a negative light. So the same can hold true with business. And that means that instead of getting frustrated at your employees or yelling at them, you try to think of solutions that'll help, and you definitely reward positive behavior. So it's hard. It really is. And it's something I'd say my husband has more of a challenge with than me. And that's just because he's in the field with the employees, so he sees more. That said, I get frustrated, and our first instinct with negative behavior used to be, well, forget it. And we just I just wanted to fire them. I was the queen of getting annoyed at people and wanting to fire them. And we have this awesome business coach I've talked about before, and she's been on, and she really helped us understand that we were kind of doing the same thing we had been doing to our son. And that is, we were focusing on the negative behavior and we weren't focusing or encouraging positive behavior. And one of the first things, part of that to do, and this is again for kids and for adults, is help them first understand kind of where the negative behavior is coming from. I'll give you an example. We had an employee that was very upset about our commissions and felt he was being cheated and felt that my husband was taking his commissions. So, in the past, I would have just been really annoyed and been like, well, he's selfish, or he doesn't get it, and he's, blah, blah, blah. But now we realize it's our fault. It's almost always our fault. Unfortunately, it's the business owner's fault. It's the parent's fault. It's the adult person's fault. And we didn't do a good job of creating a system and explaining it to the employees. So we spent a good couple of weeks coming up with a commission structure and laid everything out super clear about what the commission was, how you got one commission over the other, what commission meant. So it was, we weren't rewarding negative behavior, but what we were doing was trying to create a blueprint for more positive behavior. We were trying to show people and let them know that this is what we've come up with. We put it in writing. We made it very clear. I hope this helps. And then out of that, we're hoping that they're going to do more upsells and more things to get them commission, because that's positive reinforcement for everyone. So one thing that is really hard with this, and like I mentioned, my husband and I both struggle with it, is, life gets in the way. We get frustrated. We get annoyed. We're having a bad day too. A job is, not making money. A job is over hours. And we would take it out on the employees. And we would get mad, get frustrated, be like, you just got the truck stuck, things like that, which might be true. But, and I'm not saying keep everyone. Not everyone's a good fit. You got to keep your kid no matter what. But when it comes to your employees, they truly might not be a good fit. But you also don't want to keep someone on board and try, if we had an employee last year that was just a negative, unhappy person. And we tried to keep him on. We went through the whole like we used to but we don't have anyone else. We don't have anyone better. We need him. And finally, we're just like, this isn't going to work. He complained about us at a public event, and I overheard him. So not so good. And so we let him go. And right away, the whole company changed. The whole company dynamic just went up. Everybody was so much happier without this person kind of weighing everyone down. So I certainly am not saying at all, keep everyone, but that also means don't give up on everyone right away. And a lot of times the negative behavior comes from a miscommunication or a non-understanding or you not having a good system in place for them to learn and grow. And so I was at this thing called Pond Camp last month, which was super fun. Even me, who does not like camping. But it wasn't camp. Apparently, we had cabins. And so I was talking to this guy who's very, very good at business. And as I was talking to him, someone else came up and he said, I don't know what to do. My employees, I really want them to take video at the end of the day or just take a quick video and tell me where they are in the job. And they don't do that. And I'm getting really frustrated. And so the guy who's really good at business listened and he said, I have an idea. What if we create a positive reinforcement tool around it? And I love the idea so much. We immediately went home and we implemented it as well. And so what he meant and what we do is instead of harping or, commenting on you were late, you're all late. Now we have a reward system that includes tickets. And I've alluded to this in the past and said, I'm going to explain it. So here it is. So we created a ticket system and we came up with, I think it's $250 cash. It's a lot of money that you win every month. And we're going to pick your name out of the jar. And we're going to have someone else different pick the name every month so that it's never, and they're tickets. So they're all look exactly the same. And you have to earn tickets. And then at the end of the year, it's going to be a big prize. And this year, based on listening and hearing what our guys wanted, it's going to be a flat screen TV. So what we're going to do is every month we have the tickets in a jar. The end of the month, we move the tickets into a bigger jar. Every month gets the tickets again. And then at our holiday party, we'll pick a winner live. Maybe we'll have the, wait staff do it. I'm sure they'd love that. So how do you get a ticket might be what you're asking. And you get a ticket for exhibiting good behavior. And we have a few that were really important to us. So one way you get a ticket is if you get a review and you're mentioned by name. And this had to be clear. It can't just be an email to us. It had to be a published review. So if you have a published review and people say, Eric was great on this job. We loved, Ben, whatever. You're going to get a ticket for that. We also have tickets if you come in on time every day. So you need to come in every day for the whole week before. We are allowing 1 minute leeway since no one comes in exactly. But we have one guy that's been coming in at 7:01 consistently. So he gets a ticket. And instead of saying to everyone, you were late, they know. They're seeing that these other people have more of an incentive, to come in on time because now you're eligible to win a cash prize. And some of you might be saying, well, that's ridiculous because that's their job. And I get it. But again, negative reinforcement isn't going to get you far and may make you lose your employees. And it's something, so we've talked to people about, well, what is keeping you from coming in? What are the issues? What's happening in the morning? And sometimes it's traffic. And we're like, why don't you leave a bit earlier? There's solutions. But, or I ran into an accident like 4 times in a week. Maybe you find a different route. So, helping them create a more positive outcome, but also, like I said, creating a positive reward around it. So those are 2 ways. The third way is something that drives our office manager crazy. And that is when they don't fill in their job or hours. So we actually made this a 2-parter. And one is if you don't do your hours correctly, We're going to give you we're not chasing you anymore. We're paying you for 8 hours because they all work at least 8 hours every day. And most of them work 10. And the guys who are on hourly, it really makes sense for them to give us their hours daily. Because if not, now they might be losing money because we're not chasing and we're assuming. Is that legal? I hope so. I'm not exactly sure, but so far it's worked and we haven't had to do it. So there you go. So the second part of that is if you, by Saturday morning, if all your hours are in Jobber and incorrectly, and Sandy didn't have to chase you, which we also turned around and now Laura's in charge, not Sandy, because Sandy's nice. So if we didn't have to chase you for your hours, you get a ticket. So you see where we're going on this. And I know someone else that literally calls her system, do your job. And every day that someone does their job, they get a ticket and they're eligible to win something as well. I'm not even sure what they win, but I feel like, I know I'm not sure. So I'm not even going to say. A new car. No, not really. But that's the way our ticket system is working. We just started it less than a month ago. I guess we're almost at the time to pick a name. But it is going to be, already we've seen the change. And we saw one guy and we made it clear. We're like, oh, dude, you were 5 minutes late, 3 days. That's it. He's like, oh, so that's enough to make him, instead of saying you were late and blah, 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 blah. We're saying you were so close. So even the way I worded it was wrong. What we said to him was you were so close to being on time. So look at it from positivity, not negativity. And, 5 more minutes and you would have been there. So the employees that are 15 or 20 minutes late is a whole nother story. But, just trying to get the guys to understand that 5 minutes can really make a difference. And it gives them the opportunity for a large reward. So why wouldn't you, try to be there exactly on time? I feel like there's a fourth thing that gets a ticket too. And I can't remember. Oh, upsells. If you do an upsell, you get a ticket. So these are all things, that we are rewarding good behavior instead of focusing on bad behavior. And again, that doesn't mean if you're a half hour late every day, that does not mean you're not going to be talked to, because you will be talked to. But we're really, really trying, instead of coming from a place of accusing, instead saying to the person, why do you think you're late and how do you think you can fix it? So again, instead of, and the same thing with kids. I know I keep going back to kids, but kids and employees are so similar. Saying, how would you solve this problem? Because you're not going to be there for your kid all the time. And same thing with your employees. You want to teach your employees to be good thinkers and, problem solvers. So you're late every day. Why do you think that is? And how do you think you can make this better? So put it on them. And trust me, when it's raining, when you're miserable, when people are yelling at you, when it's cold, the first thought is not to be positive. And I get it. And my husband still occasionally freaks out and gets upset at the guys. Then he takes a step back and apologizes. And that's big. And we're working on not getting upset at all. But, I get it. We're all human. Things happen. And some of the mistakes that are made are, they shouldn't have been made at all. Let's just put it that way. And I know, for example, that my husband went to a job site and went to get something out of the truck and it wasn't there because one of the guys had borrowed it and not returned it. So he was pretty upset. But out of that, we created a new system and we started labeling everybody's tools in different colored duct tape. So everybody knows whose tools are whose. We also have a checklist that we're going to start putting on the door of the trucks that reminds you of everything you need in your truck on a daily basis. And then since, it's easy to ignore something like that, we're going to make it a dry erase board where people have to check it off and then take a picture of it and send it to us so that we know you're not just, ignoring it. You're looking at it, you're acknowledging it, you're checking it, and you're following up with us on it. So that's just another example of how we got upset with something. Getting upset and yelling wasn't going to work. So what would? Helping them. So that's the other part of this is, come up with help. Don't just yell. I used to run this event for it was 3,000 people. It was insane. And I used to do event management. And my big thing there was do not give me problems, give me solutions. And I think that's for all aspects of business. When someone goes back to when someone gives you a problem, you say, well, how would you fix it? What would you do? How do you think we should handle it? Give them some skin in the game, make them feel relevant, and show that their opinion matters because it does. And we do want to know how others are going to handle it. And like my husband said to the guys the other day, my ideas aren't always the best. So we'd love to hear from you. We want to hear what you guys have to say, and hopefully it will help everyone. So along with that, we try to teach. We're teaching more, we're explaining more, and then we're also putting videos of what we've taught into our Google Drive and letting people know where they just like the commission structure. Now the upsell commission structure is in our Google Drive. We also emailed it to everyone. So we give people information in a variety of ways that make it harder for them to say, I don't know, I didn't see it. Well, they might not have, but it's everywhere. So with that, weekly meetings are so important to us. And that is something that we've done occasionally. You're like, what is? Sorry, change that. Something we've done occasionally and should do more is we've had everyone go around and say something nice about everyone else. And this is when we had the guy that no one liked and people were struggling, and it was very amusing. But they did it. And, what did everyone do well this week? What was one thing? Or, just pick one person and say how they helped you this week. So share with everyone, because people just, in the end, they want to feel good. They want to feel relevant. They want to feel important. And they want to feel appreciated. So it's up to us as a company to create a team environment where everybody feels appreciated by everyone else. Something else that I used to do, and again, I'm learning for myself. I want to start doing it again, is at least once a week, I would email each employee and tell them something great they had done. Like, hey, I noticed you've, really done better with your job or hours. Good job. I've noticed you really stepped in when blah, blah has been sick. Great job. So it's just those little things. It's the little, and try it and watch your employees' faces. See how people light up. People just want positive reinforcement. They want to feel seen, respected, and heard. So that is my advice. I hope you guys take this and, do something with it for real. You're going to see a big change in your company. You really will. As always, please like, subscribe, and listen to my podcast, and check me out on YouTube and text me. Let me know some positive things you guys have done or what works for you. You guys are great. See that? And I love learning from you guys. I absolutely love truly learning from my peers because there's so much to know. So text me. Let me know what you do to appreciate or show your employees you care. As always, you could text me. The number is 215-805-8257. Have a great week, everyone. And remember, you are loved. Bye.